So thank you, Steph. This is not the first podcast we've recorded together, is it? This is the second one.
It is. Yeah, it feels like more actually, but maybe that's just because we chat.
I know. Did we not? I don't know whether we might have done a third one. We might have done
Oh, we
an
didn't one ages ago. Wasn't the same podcast. So yeah.
yeah. Yes. But yes. So awesome to have you on this special edition one because today we are recording it like last week, just to confuse the living daylights out of everybody. Today is gonna be your book launch day.
I know. Oh my God. Yes. So launch of a little book of leadership lessons, which interestingly, I had the title straight away.
Hmm.
I knew what the book was going to be called before I knew what was going to go in the book. But yeah, I keep saying it's been about 10 months in production and about 40 years in the making.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was reasonably easy to write, but um not easy to live because it's very much my experience and what I've learned from it. So yeah,
Oh, I can't wait to get my mitts on a copy. It's exciting. I'll get it ordered and it'll arrive today.
it
When
will.
it launches, not today when we're recording it. I'm going to stop doing that because I'm confused. Cool. So tell us, Steph, did you feel like you had to be a good girl growing up?
A massive yes to that one. I am a child of the 70s and 80s. When I'm saying when as if that's not the case now, but when girls were really expected to behave in a certain way.
Yep.
I can remember at school, aged about 15, and saying that I wanted to play football. I think I wanted to play football just because I wanted to, like, I thought they'd say no.
Mhm.
Um, but there was no girls' football team, and we created a girls' football team. But you had to be a certain way, you had to behave a certain way.
Mm.
And then I grew up in this kind of mixed heritage family, and therefore you were trying to I was trying to fit in all the time
Mm.
and not to annoy anybody, not within the family, but as a girl and as a black girl, you had to be really careful about not annoying and not upsetting people. And it is still like this to an extent now, to quite a large extent, that if you do something that annoys somebody, they're going to throw your gender or your ethnicity in your face. So if I do something wrong or I do something that people don't like, I suddenly become a black bee.
Mm.
Um, it's that kind of that becomes an issue. My ethnicity becomes an issue. My gender becomes an issue. Um, so yeah, I had to just be really, really good and nice. And my parents will probably laugh at that description of me.
I I
That will
tried really
yeah,
hard.
I did. I tried my best. And I think that thing of trying to people please a lot and go along with things and it was a real struggle because I'm not like that. I'm not
No.
somebody who can easily just fit in and acquiesce and so it took a lot of effort to just be somebody who was trying to be amenable to people. I still do it sometimes. I realized. So I went up over to Ghana at the beginning of April, and the good girl comes out when I'm in Ghana,
Mm.
and that is about kind of adhering to expected roles and respect and things like that. So some of it is politeness, but actually there's a degree of you behave in the way that you're expected to behave in, and that's about cohesion and making sure that my parents are respected in the way that they should be and things. So yeah, I did notice it coming back out a little bit more than it would normally do when I was over
Mm.
in Ghana.
Maybe if you grown up in Ghana, you'd be able to understand where you can push the limits a little bit more. But being maybe grown up in the UK, that feeling of being more of an outsider again.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny you say that because I think I had well, I know I had a lot of that when I was married because I
Mm.
married into a South Asian family.
Hmm.
And that was, I mean, I was trying my best to be the best South Asian daughter who wasn't South Asian and didn't speak Punjabi ever. Um, so particularly when I was around the family, I was really compliant. And I think it was that thing of I felt like I couldn't rebel in the way that my sister-in-law did because I wasn't part of it.
Hmm.
I was almost tolerated, or that's what I believed. So yeah, it might well be a bit of that I don't know the
What you can get
cultural
away with.
limits. Yeah. And actually thinking about a lot of Ghanaian women, yeah, they get away with an awful lot. They're not shy and coming forward. So there probably is something of that in it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it is. It's like the effort you talk about, keeping that I'm a good girl mask on and keeping everybody happy. And it's exhausting, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean it's absolutely. When I think back to some of the stuff I did as a young woman and a
Mm.
not so young woman, actually well into my 40s, um, just to try and behave the way that people expect me to behave, particularly at work.
Mm.
Oh my God, it was just kind of, the amount of times how I kept my mouth shut. I don't, I honestly don't know how I managed it. I don't know how I just, I th it makes me really sad actually. I
Mm.
just have this real kind of that person was not a happy person because I wasn't free. I was really kind of constrained by what I felt I had to do and how I had to be.
Mm.
And whilst now I do bite my tongue because I'm not that politically unastute or whatever the thing
Yeah.
is, um, but I find better ways of saying it that means that I still get the point across.
Hmm.
Um, Whereas then I just didn't say it and it would eat me up inside because I'd be sitting there going, you idiot. Um, and yeah, just real frustration and sadness, I think.
Because you're turning it inside as well, aren't
Yeah.
you? It's that, oh, I should have said something, but I don't feel safe to say something. So it obviously is my fault. Nothing to do with the other person or the situation or the context. It's just, it's clearly, so you kind of just turn all of that inward
Yeah,
because there's
yeah,
nowhere else for it to go.
that's it. And that thing of, oh, you're so stupid. You should have done something about that. You should have said something, and really beating yourself up. And that's why when I talk about imposter phenomenon, it was just kind of, attacking myself constantly because
Mm.
I didn't do stuff or I didn't say stuff or I didn't do it well enough or I wasn't good enough and all of that type of thing that went on. But then would that was very much my fault. But to be fair, that's the way that imposter syndrome
Yeah,
is framed, is that it's your fault.
I know.
It's your, it's your problem. You need to sort it out.
Yeah.
And that's probably been my biggest thing over the last 10 years has been learning and it's not made up and it's not in my head. There are reasons why I felt that way.
Hmm.
And
It's like
and
it might be a perfectly rational way to feel when you're surrounded by the things you're surrounded with.
Yeah. And even if in that moment, in that context, it's not, you've had a lifetime of stuff telling you that it is.
Yeah.
So then when you go into that context where actually it's a perfectly safe place for you to speak and people are really supportive, you're still carrying all of this decades
Package.
of beating yourself up because you
Mm.
can't and you won't and you didn't and all that type of thing. So yeah, it is really rational. And I do talk about it being fed by our environment and mine well and truly was, I mean, mine was
You
Jabba
got
the
it from
Hutt. It
everyone.
had eaten so
Yeah, yeah.
much of it. It was huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So t talk to me a little bit about super good girl growing up, trying to fit in, trying not to be bothered, trying not to antagonize anyone in any way, shape, or form, which is again exhausting.
Yeah.
So what happened when you joined the workforce? I know for me it was a case of, oh my God, this is how people work. This is not, doesn't make any sense to me because I just studied for 4 years about what good looks like in terms of organizational design. So what was your experience of that?
Well, I mean, I kind of messed around a bit. So I dropped out of uni and then did kind of clerical jobs. I worked in a building society. I did a customer service role and things. And then what I would call my first real experience of
Yeah.
work was the NHS.
Yeah.
And I love the NHS. I think it is just the most amazing thing for the population, but it has a culture. And that was what I thought work was like. So
Hmm.
I didn't have that kind of dissonance that you had, because to me, this is what work's like. And there were people who were paid a lot of money in senior roles. They behaved a certain way. So that's what I thought a leader had to be like, and that's how I thought they had to behave.
Mm.
And I tried, because I'm a good girl, I tried my best to behave in that way. I really did think, well, I'll try to do that. But that effort, and I'm not
Hmm.
that good. I can act, actually. I'm not a bad actress, but I couldn't just do it in my life. Um, and and it just, I would just get it wrong.
Hmm.
I would get being that kind of leader wrong because it didn't fit with who I was as a person. So I did progress and I did really well because I delivered, but
Hmm.
then I didn't deliver in the way they wanted me to. And it might take a little bit longer because I took people with me and things like that. So, but again, that was, well, that's because I'm not good enough. And if I was a better leader, I would have just gone for it. And all of that kind of internal conversation that I then had around all of that.
So hard. It's so hard. So what did you think that you're expected to be like as a leader? So just paint that picture for us a little bit.
So leaders were very serious.
Hmm.
They were very strong. They were very certain. They had that, that mystical thing, gravitas,
I
that you
hate
could
that
never
word.
quite you
It's
could
like,
never quite describe. What is gravitas? But they had gravitas, whatever it was, they had that.
hmm.
So it was that, that real certainty and focus, and they just went for it, and they would never mess about, and they would never joke and be flippant and stuff like that, because that's just not what a leader's about.
No.
And actually, I mean, as I'm talking to you, all I can see is a man in a grey suit, because that's what leaders were. And even the women tended to wear trouser suits, which were brown, well, not even brown, actually black or grey with a
Mm.
white shirt. It was that kind of, almost like they'd come off a production line of this is what a leader
Yeah.
is. And the only time you ever saw a leader really having fun was if you were on something and they were out, they had an overnight at a hotel, and then they get absolutely wasted, absolutely wasted.
Who is
But
these?
that's it. So it was either they were either controlled and very professional,
Hmm.
or like rolling around the floor drunk. It was the two extremes.
Yep.
And that's what I tried to be. I tried to be this real kind of in control professional. People would say I was swan-like, and I used to think, oh,
Oh,
that's
lovely.
wonderful.
Isn't
I'm
that nice?
swan-like, and I would come out of something, and I'd say, oh, I was really angry. And that, oh, you'd never have known, Steph. You just kind of glide through everything, and I thought that was a huge compliment because
Yeah.
I just, emotionless almost
Hmm.
was what people thought. Um, and yeah, that's so I just tried my best to be that. I dressed like that.
Hmm.
Um, I wore my hair straight. I didn't wear color. I just behaved like them, like an automaton almost. Um, I actually interviewed somebody a while ago for a job, and there were a few candidates, and for one of them, I actually described them as an automaton because that's how they came across. A very nice automaton,
Hmm.
but that's that model of leader, and I just thought we've moved so far away from that now,
No.
or what we
We
need is
hope.
so far away from that. We still
Yeah.
see it, we still see a lot of it. Um, but yeah, I just kind of thought I can't I can't do this. I can't be that person that's expected.
No, because almost like your body doesn't let you
No.
as well, because that's the hiding to burnout or like problems at home or that kind of it. Those emotions will find a way out.
Yeah. And they did with me. That was, I got ill.
Hmm.
I first of all had the brain hemorrhage.
Hmm.
And that was, I'm convinced it was triggered by stress. And then because I hadn't learned the first time, I then went, well, yes, but I'm still super fine and I can still do all of this. And I kind of doubled down and then almost got depression because I was just pushing myself so hard to be this amazing Wonder Woman who
Hmm.
just could do everything. And I couldn't. I
No,
really couldn't. And I
no.
couldn't be that person that that I thought I needed to be, and that I thought everybody else needed me to be.
Mm.
That's the really interesting thing was I thought that if I wasn't that person, I didn't have any value to others. So I just kept going
Mm-hmm.
until I
Until
didn't.
it's like, and then
And then I stopped. I do, yeah. I mean, I did get to the point where um I did have to just get a grip of who I was mentally, and driven very much by my daughter. I was a lone parent at that point, and I just thought she needs me. She needs me to be here. She needs me to be around. She needs me to be healthy. So I need to sort that
insane.
out and sane. Yeah. And it was that, it wasn't actually about me because I still hadn't dealt with the imposter phenomenon, but it was about her and I needed to sort myself out for her. And in doing that, that kind of got me to realize, no, I need to do it for me. And I
Hmm.
am a better person and a better friend and a better leader the way I am now than the way I was trying to be then.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Do,
it was just kind of, if not, I am going to end up having another brain hemorrhage or something that will be really serious,
mhm.
or with depression and not able to function properly for her.
No.
So,
And it's really fascinating. So, it's like similar themes throughout my life. And I kind of very recently had this sort of thought, like literally my job is being as meest as I can be. So it's like all of these years of like trying to be a different person and trying to, develop myself into this sort of self-actualized whatever. And I was like, oh, and it's all been like taking off layers
mm.
of the onion. So I need to think of a more like a
A
less
less pungent.
less smelly version. Yeah, well, it is smelly as well, let's
Mm,
face it. So taking off those layers to reveal what is, what is me. And I
mm,
think as I've known you, but you've always been like super colorful and
mm.
super authentic. So I've known this Steph, but I didn't know
The old stuff.
the constrained and trapped
Yeah,
Steph.
I've got this photo. I actually found the physical photo the other day. So
Hmm.
I have a photo that I use in my presentations. It was taken when I was at the ambulance service. So I was assistant director of operations at the ambulance service, and the picture was taken as like a picture for them to use, and they gave it. They did an article in the journal, I think it was, the
Hmm.
Newcastle Journal, and they used this picture and it was huge on the. I mean, it took up two-thirds of the page, this
And that's a
picture.
double, it's like a big one,
Yeah, it
the
was a
journal,
big
isn't it?
broadsheet.
Yeah.
Oh, at least it was at the time. And oh my God, it was in the box in the loft. I wanted to open it. I was like,
It's
oh my
like,
God, it's
what
huge.
is this?
But I'm there and I've got straight hair. I'm
Mhm.
wearing virtually no makeup. I'm probably, it was really weird. I probably weigh less than I do now, but I look more overweight. I've got a dark suit on. Um, and yeah, I just look sad. And my daughter says, even though that picture now must be about 16 years old,
Mhm.
I look older than I do now.
Yep.
And I just, when I present and I talk about it, I say, I just see sadness when I look at that
Mm.
picture. And at the time, I didn't like it at the time because I looked fat, but yeah, now I look back on it and I just feel really sad for who she was and how she felt at the
Mhm.
time. Um, so yeah, I think it's interesting when you are being you, that's when you really you just succeed, you thrive when you don't have to pretend to be something else. And your thriving might not be being a chief exec or whatever, but you just, no matter what it is you're meant to do,
Mhm.
it just happens. It happens so much easier than when you're trying to pretend to be something else,
Mm.
because it's forced and it's horrible and
Effort.
depressing. Yeah,
Effort. Too much
effort.
effort.
Yeah, it's why I don't run. It's too much effort.
Oh God, no. It's like if God wanted us to run, he wouldn't have invented bicycles
Exactly.
and cars and planes.
So why run when I can drive or walk?
Exactly. Uber.
That's it.
Oh no, I was like, yeah, I look at people who like climb mountains
Mm.
and I'm just like, oh God, too much effort. You do
And
you.
that's it, exactly. And I mean, I talk about well-being and things, and there's certain things that I just think, oh, I would rather almost pull my fingernails out than do that. I would just, but I know one of my colleagues, I love dancing. So if I want to like de-stress, I'll dance. He would, if I said, come on, let's put some music on and dance, he would just shrivel up and die. It's not his thing.
No,
He likes to play golf.
they're
And
fine.
I'm like, oh my God, no. So it's different horses, different courses
No.
and things. But that's the thing for me, being that type of leader was just not right at all. And it was
No.
just me trying to comply. And then I stopped complying, and all of a sudden everybody wanted my services. It was great. What a surprise.
Isn't that bonkers?
Mhm. I suddenly became a much more valuable asset once I stopped complying. But actually, I did have to get outside of the NHS for that time. I couldn't have, if I'd done that within the NHS, I would have just been seen as a disruptor and not in the good way.
No, no. It's yeah. We've had many conversations
Yes.
about this. I'm like, let's not go there today. So like, and we've only got half an hour. We
Yeah.
can't solve the entire NHS in the next 9 minutes.
It would take at least 45. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So give us a little sneak peek of what to expect with your gorgeous book coming out. Oh,
Yeah.
two.
So the book is it's basically it is what it says. It's a book of leadership lessons. And what I've done is I've talked about experiences that I've had right back from kind of some of my earliest management roles
Hmm.
and what I've learned from them. Sometimes it's been I had to do the same, make the same mistake more than once
Mhm.
before I learned from them. Sometimes it's been that as time has gone by and I've looked back on things, I've thought, oh, that was what that was about. So sometimes it's things that I need to do differently.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's about understanding the environment that you're in.
Mm.
And sometimes it's just about understanding what leadership is. So I start off by talking about what I was told leadership was and kind of the context in which I started that leadership journey in the NHS,
Mhm.
but actually then me discovering what I think leadership is. And that thing of, somebody said to me, management is about things and leadership is about people. And it's kind of like, yeah, but what does that actually mean? And I discovered over time, and particularly in the role I'm in now, that actually my role as a leader is to make sure people's environment is right.
Mhm.
And that can be really difficult because, as we've discussed, different people need different environments, but making sure that people have the right environment, so the right equipment, the right culture, the right drive and purpose and all that type of thing so they can thrive. Because if they thrive, my job becomes really easy because I then don't have to do anything. I just go, well done, that's brilliant, hurrah. Um, you know, but if you're constantly trying to put the wrong people in the wrong environment, that's when it becomes really hard.
Mm.
If you're trying to constrain people, and sometimes you have to have those discussions about actually that this is not the right environment for you, and
Mm.
that can be challenging. But then you see them move into the right environment, and you just see that person
Blossom.
blossom exactly. So yeah, it's a lot about that. But I talk about my experience with imposter phenomenon. I talk about things like about being authentic. I bring out kind of one of the chapters I talk about how to deal with feedback that you really didn't want to hear and maybe don't agree with. Because I've had that sometimes when there's always been the feedback where you go, oh, I didn't want to hear that, but it was true. But when somebody
Mm.
gives you feedback that you don't agree with, that's really tricky because what do you do then? You've got a choice. Do you just go, well, I don't agree with it and dismiss it? Or do you do something with it?
Mm.
And what I've also tried to do is to kind of present I believe my leadership style is informed because I'm really interested in all parts of my heritage and other cultures.
Mhm.
So it's actually not a conventional white Western leadership style. So I've tried to kind of show a little bit of how we can learn from other cultures to become better at what we do
Mm.
and pick and choose to an extent of actually that really chimes with me the way that people see that and that so I'm going to hold that it's not about appropriation, but it's about learning, oh, that's a perspective that people have on things, and
Mm-hmm.
that really resonates with the way I see things. So it validates me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do get a lot, and you'll have had this as well, where most of what we're taught about leadership and about psychology and about culture is a very Western model and a very modern Western model.
Modern Western male model.
Very exactly. And strangely enough, the majority of the world is not Western male. So there's a whole other kind of soup of cultures out there that
Mm-hmm.
might resonate with us better than the one that we're forced into.
Mm.
So I bring a little bit of that in as well. But I've designed it to be the kind of book that you can read on the loo. So by that I mean you can probably read a chapter in about 10 minutes if you want to. And you could kind of go, oh, right, I really want to know about imposter phenomenon. Great, read that chapter, put it down, and then something might happen. You might go, oh, I wonder if there's something in about that. And you read
Oh.
about that one. Or you can start at the beginning and read through to the end. It's entirely up to you because I want it to be a book that people get use out of. I don't want it to be
Mm.
something that you know, and put the very lovely picture on the front cover on the bookshelf and never read. I want it to be something that actually brings people a little bit of hopefully a few laughs, but peace and motivation and
Mm.
just a sense of, oh, I'm not weird. you know, oh, I get that now.
Yep.
It's not me. I'm not a bad person
Mm.
because a lot of the stuff that I have spoken about and write about is quite common to a lot of us, and particularly women.
I find it fascinating. So I'm running a group program at the moment
Mm,
in a Northeast business, and one person will say something, and everyone's like, "Yeah, me too." And that, "Yeah, me too," is just like you can just see everybody just relax into that
yeah.
because they know that we one of those sort of tools of coercion that I talk about is that like isolation. So we tend to
Mm,
think it's just us. And yeah, so I love that. So
yeah.
brilliant.
And that's the thing with imposter phenomenon. People don't talk about it because they think it's just them. And then when they say something, someone will go, "Well, yeah, you're a bit rubbish." So you don't you don't say it.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right. You
yeah,
are crap.
yeah. What are you doing here? Who are
Yeah.
you? So when me talking about it, when people kind of think oh, Steph, she must have had it all together. She must have had a life plan. And I talk about the messiness that is me. I think it helps people.
Hmm.
I was described as an elder the other day.
Ooh.
Yes, which scared the hell out of me. But actually, I think there's something about I need to recognize the fact that even though I'm obviously still very, very young, I've reached a certain position of seniority, which means what I say means something to people, whether it
Mm.
should or not.
Hmm.
So if I say some of this messy, horrible stuff that goes through our minds and that we experience, no matter how senior, because some of the stuff I've experienced has been in the last couple of years,
Hmm.
and I've still been messed about and excluded. Um, then hopefully it'll help other people go, all right, okay, so Steph's been through and Steph can say it. It's okay.
No, I love that. I love that. So yeah, it's just the ripples
Hmm.
again. Just like you are, by you being you, yes, which seems like completely mad, but you being you gives permission for other people to be them. And then that gives, and then it's like ripples of like authenticity
Yeah. And that's
and
it. I don't want anybody to be me because they can't be. So nobody should be copying me.
or
Um,
me.
yeah, I mean, it would be awful if people
I
were
know it
me,
was
to be
like,
honest. But yes, but it is that thing of I'm in awe of other people
hmm,
when I see them being authentically them.
yeah.
And I learn a lot from them
Hmm.
being them.
Hmm. Love it. Cool. Right. Last question. If somebody's listening or watching, and again, we're not trying to take away their good girl stuff and give them Steph's version or Michelle's version. We want them to figure out what their version of themselves looks like. So what question do you have for them to ponder?
Okay. So one of the things when I was writing the book, I wrote the book and then People have picked out the odd quote from it, and I've gone, "Oh, did I write that?" And
I do that as well. I'm like, oh,
that's quite,
genius.
yeah. And but one of the things that really has resonated is in the book I say, "I am and always have been enough."
Mm.
So if you believed that you are and you always have been enough, what would you do differently? Because that opens up a whole world.
Hmm. It's like mic drop. Boom.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on. I'm just, yes, you've been on this for ages, so I'm glad. It's like glad I thought, oh, I better ask her. She's got a book coming out. She'd
Mm.
love to.
I always enjoy chatting with you. Always.
Oh, me
It's
too.
always fun.
Me too. Thank you.